Hello to everyone. My name is Angel Manuel Guerrero and I come from the robotics group at the University of León. I have recorded this short video to explain our contribution to the CISIS 2020 conference that, as you can see in the title, is a brief review of security issues of a robot as a service platform. The presentation is organized as follows. Section 1 poses a brief context. Section 2 provides the technological background about container solutions and their vulnerabilities. Applying the conclusions of the above analysis, Section 3 defines the technical elements of a honeynet architecture proposed for a robotic research environment. Finally, Section 4 wraps the work and describes the steps for future work. Before starting, I would like to thank the Spanish National Institute of Cybersecurity, INCIBE, for their support of this research. In recent years, the use of virtualization technologies has grown significantly due to its efficiency and speed, as well as its unquestionable improvement in deploying systems and applications. Traditionally, the division of a system into multiple virtualized environments has been carried out thanks to the use of virtual machines. Virtual machines allow the installation of a complete operating system on an emulated hardware layer provided by an hypervisor. A virtual machine only communicates the outside using a restricted number of hypervisor calls, also known as hypercalls, or through emulated devices. Requirements for the running of a specific machine does not affect others. It is also possible to restrict virtual machine access to a specific set of resources. Thus, virtual machines may achieve a high level of isolation as well as security. On the other hand, such isolation mechanisms may have a negative effect regarding performance and storage. Moreover, DevOps methodologies or requisites for multi-tenant environments such as high portability and reproducibility requires layer virtualization solutions. Containers provide a more efficient virtual environment, but they have issues related to security. Instead of having a dedicated copy of the operating system, containers are executed directly on the host system core, thus sharing most resources with it. Although this fact speeds up the system calls running, making them a lighter solution, it is necessary to develop mechanisms that ensure the containers. Proper use of operating system capabilities may limit the exploitation of vulnerabilities associated with the use of containers, such as those based on the data leakage that allows a user with access to a container interact with other containers or even with the system host, or those associated with the container platforms themselves that usually assign high-level privilege, which allows to carry out some actions during the running of the container. Ground management of such operations allows an attacker to exploit them and obtain, again, additional privilege or to those initially granted. Similarly, a system based on the use of containers could be exposed to new threats if the images from which they were built contain malicious code or not updated packages. Although the running of malicious code may not be considered a vulnerability of container systems, the analysis of vulnerabilities in such images provides a direct benefit in the security of a container. Studying the vulnerabilities associated with container solutions, it is essential to know the existing isolation and security mechanisms. The Linux kernel provides several features that allow for controlling and isolating the activity of a container to a specific context. The most important are namespaces, control groups, Linux capabilities, and the secure computing mode. In addition to security features provided by the Linux kernel, Linux security modules deploy additional security functionalities to the Linux kernel. Among the most references modules in the literature we have C-Linux and AppArmor. Due to the large number of container tools available, we have chosen to describe the security features of Docker, LXC, and Singularity, the most popular container solutions. Table shows in a comparative way the security mechanisms and options activated by default in the above platforms. Now, I will describe our approach for releasing a platform supported on containers that could be considered an alternative to Amazon Robotics or Formant.io. This platform aims to offer an educational scenario oriented on robotics, specifically running ROS, the most popular development framework in robotics. SAFER stands for Simulation Framework for Education in Robotics. The inspirations for this idea is already in the literature. Our goal is to provide an environment with the required set of robotic software tools. It will follow a specific configuration allowing for teaching the robotics course, minimizing the installation phase, which is out of the scope of the courses. Initially, we aim to use software in the security in cyber physical systems subject of the first year of the master's degree in research in cybersecurity at the University of León. In addition, SAFER will allow us to offer our lectures in a remote manner for those students following the course in an online manner without attending the laboratories of our educational institution. Our proposal started with a modification of a Docker template publicly available. The original template was changed attending to three different types of services shown in the figure. First, a remote computer. This solution provides functionalities supported on basic ROS simulation. 2. AI container provides support to basic ROS simulation, gazebo, and some basic AI functionalities. And 3. Robot provides a link to a real robot. From the security evaluation, we extract the following issues: secure application and user mapping, I1, establish the patch management policy, I2, network architecture by default, I3, SSL certificates, I4, resource protection, I5, container image integrity and sources origin, I6, the immutable paradigm for containers, I7. To face such issues, we apply the solutions you can see in the screen. Now let's see the conclusions. Container technologies facilitate the deployment of applications, their distribution, and portability in a way that no other virtualization tool achieves. However, in terms of security, these solutions and the isolation mechanisms associated with them must keep evolving in order to obtain a higher degree of maturity that minimize the risks associated with its use. After analyzing the existing virtualization alternatives and security mechanisms that can be used in the execution of Linux containers, we have deployed a robot-as-a-service platform for education in robotics that we initially aim to use in the master's degree in research in cybersecurity at the University of León. Relating to the future lines of research to follow, literature shows how most of the vulnerabilities described could be eliminated through the development of new namespaces. Some devices, the kernel ring buffer, the mask, date and time settings, as well as the pseudo file systems proc and sys of a host system are not properly isolated from the containers. Advances in this matter will contribute to providing greater security for these solutions. On the other hand, the use of operating system specially designed for the deployment of containers such as Ubuntu Core OS or Ranch OS is a really interesting alternative to reduce the attack surface of these systems by including the minimum content necessary for them to run. Analysis based on the evaluation of the security of these solutions, as well as the orchestration characteristics included in some of them, can be useful in improving the containers. And this is it. Thanks for your attention.